We are back again. Finally, week 7 done. Actually had a pretty good slate this week. Dom, how we feeling?
I feel great. Gets
I was gonna
better
say
and
you
better
should be
each week. I
feeling.
feel great about football. Anything
Meh,
outside of football, I don't really want to talk about
that's
right now.
fair. I
But
mean, Caps just beat up on the Flyers back-to-back nights there.
good for
4-1, I think.
you.
4-2 last night, I think, or
Yeah,
4-1
yeah.
last night, and then it was they almost let them back in. They were up 4-0 at one point. It was 4-3. I checked, and then scored two quick ones. It was 6-3 when I last looked there. It looked like that was about where I was going to finish. So
Yeah,
Caps
good for you.
started 0-1 and won six straight now, I believe.
Yeah,
Five
the
now?
uh, the
Five straight?
Pens don't know how to win a game, so it's okay.
It's weird, but I'll take it.
Yeah,
Well, it's great. Let's just jump right in here. Uh, Biggest game of the week. Super Bowl rematch. Chiefs going out to San Francisco. Um, the dark magic is real.
it is. It
Again,
is real.
we keep saying it. The
I,
the
I,
worse they are, the better they get.
I don't know, dude. I just can't fathom that Mahomes is playing so poorly, but the team just still wins games
He's playing
despite all of
so
it.
well in the biggest moments.
Yeah, I mean, he'll have two big plays and like that sums up the game and
Yeah,
that's
they're
it.
just hanging around. It's insane.
That and I mean every penalty call goes their way. Like
That's
it
fair.
is what it is.
I mean, some of that is it just ends up happening that way. Like, I mean, we did that with the
Yeah, yeah.
Patriots for
I'm
20
not
years.
saying
Like, it's
I'm
just,
not yeah, I'm not saying like the refs are like yeah,
yeah,
Chiefs. It's just
no, not
somehow
a
that's
fixing
just
thing.
how
It's
the
just
calls
like
fall. It just is what it is. Now,
it's
obviously,
insane.
there are times where like things are questionable, but at the end of the day, sometimes calls just fall that way, and that's life. But
Right.
not really in this game in particular. It was kind of never really got going for the Niners,
Mm-mm.
unfortunately.
Now, I do want to point this out here real quick. Who's the leading receiver for the Chiefs in this game?
I did see that. It was you're gonna tell me and I'm gonna shit my pants. Go
Uh,
ahead.
Noah Gray.
Noah Graham. I see. I thought it might have been Watson, but I
Noah
wasn't
Gray
gonna.
was 4 catches for 66 yards. So it's not like Mahomes had
That's
an insane day by any means. He was 16
he
to
threw
27,
two picks.
154 yards, and two picks. So, like, not a
Yeah,
good day.
very poor.
However, they still scored 28 points. And again, like, this is. Like, I just wanted to point
Mahomes.
out, like, who he's throwing the ball to. Noah Gray was your leading receiver with 66 yards, tied with Travis Kelce in receptions. They both had four. Samaje Perine was second in yards. He had one catch for 22 yards. Worthy three for
Jeez,
19. Like, Worthy had the most
that's
targets with
that's
8,
something.
but 3 catches. Like, it's insane.
I don't know. It just doesn't really make sense. And the fact that they're just still putting up points and doing everything
And just
despite it,
winning
it
games. I will say
just
I
doesn't make
do
sense.
give Mahomes a ton of credit for absolutely bodying Mustafa on
Yeah, oh,
that
dude,
run.
that he killed Malik Mustafa and stepped
Hmm.
on his chest with authority. Good for him. I didn't
Yeah,
think he had
I
it
was
in him,
watching
but
that
he
on Red Zone,
does.
and as much
He
as I
had his
hated it, I got
leverage,
hyped for that. That was
get
fun
that
to
shoulder
watch.
down, put him in the
Hmm.
ground. It was good. Good for him. So everybody has
Yeah.
that one. Um, but on the flip side of that game, the Niners, I think they're in turmoil at this point.
Hmm.
Ayuk's
They're
done for the
spiraling.
year. You're not going to see Ayuk touch the field until November next year, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Just completely ripped up his knee, ACL, MCL.
Yep.
You're looking at like a Nick Chubb type injury, and that took about 13 months. So you're looking week 12 of next year for a return. So
Yeah.
that's tough, but
Brutal.
that's life and with
And
injuries and whatnot,
Debo Samuel has pneumonia.
pneumonia. So who
That's
knows
not
when
great.
he's
I
coming
mean, that's
back.
just that's
You're
brutal.
penciling him out for this week, and they're running Ricky Pearsall out, who got shot 2 months
I was gonna
ago.
say, yeah, Ricky Pearsall is
George
there.
Kittle he's a foot injury. Is that correct?
He's got something going on there.
I thought I read it was his foot. I could be wrong. That might have been his old injury. Um,
Um, Double checking that. He
yeah, and
was
then
dealing with something. I think.
who knows when McCaffrey's two Achilles are gonna magically rebound.
Yeah.
So you're just struggling, and um, yeah, you're gonna see the flaws in Brock Purdy when he has nobody to throw the ball to, and your O line is playing
Mhm.
subpar at best, and your defense can't stop anybody. It's not the same team that they had out there last year, unfortunately.
No, it's not even remotely.
And
And
that division as a whole is just
I was just gonna
not
say,
what
like,
we
that's the
expected.
weirdest thing. Like, we thought that was gonna be one of the better divisions this year.
It's the worst division in football, almost.
Well,
AFC South, which we also thought was going to be very good, is not good.
I did say it was gonna be. It could be fun if we got all the
Played
high
not
upsides of everything, and there's just
nothing
been
has
no
played out
upsides. No, AFC East is probably the worst division
outside of the Bills. Yeah,
outside
wow.
of the Bills. That's a
It's
wasteland.
like and it'll get better this week. Tua is coming back.
Is he coming
Tyreek
back
Hill
this
was
week?
he is he's playing on Sunday from what I've heard.
Ooh.
I mean Tyreek Hill said it himself today to expect Tua back in this Sunday,
Well,
which is crazy because from what we talked about a few weeks ago was maybe like a week 10, 11 return, and he's back
yeah.
as soon as possible. Pre buy, pre everything.
I'm not going to
So
read too
they're
much
just
into what Tyreek Hill is saying, to be honest with you.
no, obviously not.
So
But Tua
until the
was
Wednesday
but
press
he was
conferences,
practicing,
yeah, I mean,
and today's Wednesday, so
he
they did
can
the press
throw on nine
conferences
Guardian
today.
caps, and I'm still not going to feel
Oh,
totally confident about him
well,
playing.
we know he's not wearing a Guardian cap, so it's fine.
No, no, that's true.
Um, but yeah,
But
I
yeah, that's
think the Niners are going to keep struggling here, and
mhm.
it's they don't have an easy schedule.
The only upside to this for them, really, and just the NFC West as a whole right now. It's like I would be like nervous or worried about the Seahawks going forward because the defense was bad for a stretch there. They got
Yeah,
healthy this past week and let up 14 points. It's 14, right?
yeah,
14 or
no,
17 points or something like that. So like, and
who
especially
take
up front,
yeah.
like Byron Murphy wasn't healthy. I think he missed a couple weeks there. Like they were missing a few guys on that front seven. So they weren't really
Yeah.
getting pressure. They were missing I think was it Tariq Woolen was out a week or two there. So like they hadn't been healthy on defense outside of week one. Um those guys are all coming back now. This past week, that defense was mostly healthy, and
Yeah.
you saw them stifle a very good offense. So I would be a little bit concerned about that. But like, if you're the Niners right now, you're sitting at 3-4. You are third in the division because you lost to the Cardinals, but the Seahawks are leading that division at 4-3. Even the Rams, like you're sitting there going like, we're alive right now
Yeah. Yeah.
at 2-4.
Unfortunately for every team in that division, they're somehow alive and
Yeah,
can make a run.
like you
Um,
can make the
it's
argument
it's
that
it's
9 wins could win that division
yeah, and I think that's what it's
somehow.
going to be. I think it's going to be a team that's 9-8 because it's so weird.
Yeah, and they all
Um,
play each other
and I mean,
tough.
yeah, and if the Rams decide that they don't want to throw it away this season, maybe they make a run and get back in it.
I feel like
But
if you're
that
the
starts
Rams, you
this
kind of
week.
have to go
It
like because
well,
you're locked into Stafford. You got to go like last dance kind of thing here.
I think it really depends on what happens tomorrow. It really does.
Hmm.
So if they win tomorrow, I think they're not going to sell Cup.
True.
They're not going to sell their bait off. They're going to fight. But on the flip side of that, they also aren't healthy fully, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Their
Hmm.
defense is a little lackluster. They're missing pieces. It's definitely not a Super Bowl contending team at this moment. And
No.
so you have to play the game. Do I take what I can get now for Cup, or do we ride this out and see what we can do?
Yeah, it's a tough spot just because of Stafford. I think that's the only thing. I think
Yeah,
if Stafford were 6 years younger, you kind of go, all right, well, we'll just eat it this year.
yeah,
Move
exactly.
Cup, move an old like an aging receiver, that kind of thing. But with Stafford's age, you kind of go like, well, after I think next year they have some like it doesn't cost them as much to get out of that contract if they need to or want to or for whatever reason. But like you're kind of stuck with it right now.
Yeah,
You almost kind of I feel like you're almost trapped in the way of just kind of saying we'll just fucking send it and see what happens here.
I think that's the unfortunate part is they have about a week to actually make a decision
Mm-hmm.
because the teams interested now they have limited time, about a
Right.
week and a half, 2 weeks,
Well,
and in that
they
time
pushed
frame,
the trade deadline back
it's
here a
it's
week.
November 4th. Yeah, it's
Yeah, so
November
it used
4th.
to be what
Otherwise,
week
it would
8. They
be
pushed it
next
back a
week.
week. Yeah.
So
So
you have,
that does buy you a little bit of time to kind of think, especially when
yeah,
you play on a Thursday. You got 10 days to kind of think then too before you play again,
yeah, it'll
and
be a
kind of
debate.
regroup and really
It's
evaluate.
yeah, it'll be now or never. And those teams that are interested in receivers and will buy a receiver
Hmm.
are now going to be pressed and on the clock. So they're waiting for you to see what you do Thursday to then decide what they want to do.
Right.
Because like the Steelers aren't gonna wait around.
Hmm.
They
Especially if
have
they
to
can
do
get,
something.
85% of Cooper Cup for, you know, 60% of the
Yeah,
price. Like if they're pushing for
exactly.
a 2 plus or at least a 2, I mean, D Hop just went for a conditional fourth, and Amari
Yeah,
Cooper
yeah.
was later day 3 pick.
It was
He
a
was
three. No, it was a third. It was a third rounder.
third and a 6, I think. Maybe I caught up on the 6 there. I
Yeah,
think it was a
yeah.
third and a
We'll
6.
we'll
Yeah, yeah.
we'll we'll talk.
Regardless,
Yeah, we'll
like,
talk. Yeah, we'll talk Cup here in a little bit. I'll bring it back up. But
all right, fair enough.
yeah.
Fair enough.
All
But
right,
yeah,
but
no, that
let's move
division
on. Yeah,
interesting for not the ways that we thought it
yeah,
was going to be interesting to
yeah.
go starting the year there.
Completely opposite. And kind of same with like the AFC West. Just
Hmm.
not exactly what I was expecting, but kind of what I was expecting.
Underwhelming but interesting.
Always. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's jump to the Texans Packers here
All
because
right. This
I
was a
don't.
fun game.
Yes, very. Um, I think it was peak Jordan Love where that last touchdown to the last one was to Kraft, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no. The first one. I'm sorry. First touchdown that he threw to Kraft.
Okay.
Ended up being a great throw and a great catch. That ball went right through a DB's hands. Like the Jordan Love experience is wild. Absolutely
I mean,
wild.
but he so like I think he had his rough point like mid last season. Like there was that 5 game stretch where
Right.
everybody was
Yeah.
just
Like I
like
mean, he started off
Jordan Love.
bad.
He started off well, but he finished amazing.
Mhm.
And then like he started this season off in a battle with the Eagles immediately in
That game
Brazil.
was
So
weird. That's almost just a throwaway
terrible
game
place
for
to
me at this
play.
point. Yeah.
Yeah. And then gets hurt, comes back and guns blazing. A wild first game back. And ever since then he's calmed down and he's just been better and better.
He is very good.
Um,
I'm saying the Jordan Love experience is just very like nerve wracking because like
uh,
he is Brett Favre 2.0. He's letting it rip, and half the time you see the ball leave his hands, you don't know who's catching that ball. It
that's
always
fair.
looks good,
Yeah.
but you see it come out of his hands, and you're just kind of like, I don't know who this is going to, where it's going, and I don't know who's coming, like what color jersey is coming down with this ball. It's like
Yeah.
it's kind of Anthony Richardson, but at least with Jordan Love, you know somebody's going to catch it. Anthony
He
Richardson
kind
is
of
just
yeah.
loading up to throw 68 yards. Jordan Love
He
is
kind
like
of yeah.
clearly making a play, but
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of like younger Josh Allen.
yeah, it's a little bit of that. It's a little bit of that Brett
Yeah.
Favre thing. He's a full on like old school gunslinger, and
Yeah.
it's fun. And I'm rooting for him because that is fun to see.
Yeah.
But it is just it's got to be stressful to be a Packers fan to watch those games sometimes. It just you don't know what's
Probably.
going on. And like again, too, it was 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. I mean, like all of his games this year, it's like there's great plays. And I mean, outside of the Cardinals game, the Rams game was close. The Vikings game was a roller coaster. They were horrible in the first half, great in the second half. It's like it's just up and down
Yeah.
there like crazy. And like the parity between him and CJ Stroud, especially in that game, it's like, it's 2 young guys that are very different quarterbacks, but both very, very good. Like, in that next
Yeah.
man up conversation for sure. Even though CJ
Yeah.
Stroud did not play well.
No. He kind of did this week what I was more so anticipating him doing last week, which was regress a bit without Nico.
Mhm.
and it's kind of what happened, and makes sense. Offense kind of got figured out pretty quick, and it was lean on the run game a lot. Packers don't
Yeah.
really ever run defense, so they couldn't really stop it if they wanted to, but figured it out and they held out, kicked that last minute field goal to close it out, which is
Right.
very, very much so needed.
I will give the Texans a
Um,
lot of credit. Like, I was nervous about the Joe Mixon thing,
yeah,
but he's
me
giving them
too,
just
but
enough. I mean, they're
it's
using
worked
him a
out.
lot. It's not. It's obviously not the same effect that like Derrick Henry is having on the Ravens right now. But
Yeah. No,
in terms
God,
of like
no.
a solid, like a guy that's just going to produce at the running back
Yeah,
position, a vet, and just kind of calm everything down, it is noticeably different. They're a much more intimidating team this year than last year. Not just because like CJ Stroud's second year and everything like that, but like it does feel a little bit more sustainable on offense. Now, obviously without
yeah,
Nico Collins, like that is, a little unsettling that he's not it doesn't seem like he's got the same relationship with anybody else or just like as the wide receiver room as a whole there. But the Joe Mixon part of this is like that offense does look very, very solid and functional when he's on the field there.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Texans are at this point might lose every game to the NFC North, and those would be their only losses on the season.
That's entirely possible, yeah. For sure.
Um,
Um
just because that division's so good at this point. I mean, they play Baltimore, right? So that'll be a
yeah, they do get
dogfight.
them later. I want to say a
And they
couple
get the
weeks.
Chiefs, and they have to play the Chiefs. So
Yeah, the back end of their schedule isn't too. Oh yeah, they get them back to back weeks too.
yeah,
They
so that's
get
not
and on a
favorable for them.
they get the Ravens on a short week too. They play the Chiefs Saturday the 21st of December, and then get the Ravens on Christmas Day.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's tough. That's really tough.
Well,
Oof.
that's fun.
Sorry
Sounds
about
like
that,
the
Houston.
Steelers. I think the Steelers get you, the Ravens on Christmas. Oh, not on Christmas,
Who do
the
the
week
Ravens get before
before, and then
that?
the
Yeah,
Chiefs
look
on
at that.
Christmas.
One last thing on the Packers there, just because I heard somebody say it, I forget who it was. But yeah, the Ravens get the Steelers at home and then go to Houston. Same schedule there, the Saturday and then Wednesday game.
Yeah,
Ugh,
and the Steelers are
don't love
are
that.
away then home against the Chiefs. That's awesome.
Tough.
Love that. It's life.
But yeah, no, I heard somebody say this about the Packers. It's like their saving grace right now might be that the NFC North is as good as it is, and they
Hmm.
won't win that division and won't have to play at
Yeah,
home in the cold and have to go to Minnesota or Detroit and just play a track
which are
meet just
domes.
with how they're
Yeah,
built right now.
I
Like,
think
or
that's
go to a
best.
warm
Yeah,
weather team. Like, that's their best chance is not having home games, which is kind of weird. Like, that could actually work out for them really well.
yeah, yeah. It's fair.
All
All right.
right.
Let's go to the game of the week here. Lions Vikings.
Oh, true. Yeah, I mean,
Speak of the devil. Yeah,
I'll eat what I kind of said there. I mean, it looked like at least the beginning there was a little bit of you know hangover from the Hutchinson injury, but they
yeah,
settled in and just took care of business. Then, like
yeah. I
hung
mean, the
around.
offense got
Goff looked
rocking.
amazing
He's
again.
he he's been almost perfect for 3 straight weeks on
Hmm.
offense, which is like unheard of.
Yeah,
Um, I I really like every single week. I can't say enough how needed this was for that man going to Detroit and just
hmm
embracing
getting
the
a full
city and
reset.
becoming the
Yeah.
face. He's the face of that team, and there's no doubt in my mind he deserves it.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I loved him in LA. I mean, I was hard on him at first, but I still was baffled when they did that trade. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, but it worked out obviously for the Rams. They won the Super Bowl, and it's right now it's worked out for the Lions. They're a completely new look,
Yeah.
great team that they have never been in the history of their like organization.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they're finally at that point where you go, oh shit, Detroit is on our schedule this year. We have to prepare heavily for that.
Yeah. I don't know. We were kind
So
of on this at the beginning of the year. We're half right on this. I mean, we both kind of had them as I don't know. I think we both did have them as number one seed in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, I have them going to my Super Bowl in my
Well, true. Yeah, I
predictions.
couldn't
So.
remember if you had them as number one seed. I mean, now probably not going to get the number one seed just because that division is way better than either one of us thought it was going to be.
Yeah, so it'll be
Because
tough. I
they're
mean,
just going
if
to
they do,
they're going to eat at each other at some point there. Once
yeah,
they really start playing
they'll
divisional.
lose a game or two here.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily know what their whole
probably in
schedule looks
division.
like off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean they've only played. Was that their first division game?
That was their first division game. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
mean, they
they're
played
all going to like beat up
Titans.
on each other at some point there. Like 4-2.
Yeah,
Whoever goes 4-2 in division play is probably going to
yeah,
end up winning that division.
yeah. They've Packers Texans back to back in weeks 9 and 10,
Okay.
and then they play the Vikings again last week of the year. That could be for
Yeah.
the division if things
Really
shake
could
out
be.
properly.
Yeah.
So they also play the Bills later on. Definitely a tough schedule, but
Yeah. I just mean even just like within the division, like they're just gonna. It's just
oh
gonna be
yeah,
tough
100%.
for any of those teams to get whoever wins in the NFC North. Like I don't think any of them are gonna be your number one seed by any means. There. Like
No,
Atlanta
but
could
I mean,
mess around and end up being the number one seed in the NFC.
yeah, yeah,
Just because
that would be crazy.
they're not going to end up playing anybody. That's just kind of what's going
Yeah,
on. I mean, the Saints are decimated by injury at this point. Bucks have no receivers, and the Panthers are the Panthers. Like
yeah,
like 12 wins could be the number one seed.
that would be. I mean, very feasible. But yeah,
But
this was also Darnold's worst game of the season so
mhm,
far.
yeah, let me look at
So
his line here real quick.
I think he kind of came back down to earth a little bit. I
I
say that,
mean,
and he threw 250, one
I was
touchdown,
just
one
going to say
interception.
22-27, 259, a touchdown and a pick.
But like looking at all of his games, like okay,
I
like
mean,
if
the
that's
Jets
your
game is
worst
probably
game,
the worst one
yeah, if you want to
in
play,
London.
but
But
that's also
again,
in London.
yeah.
I
Um,
don't really count it, and you still won the game, so
right, yeah. So you kind of, you do what you got to do with that. Yeah, I'm curious to see what this ends up looking like for the Vikings here, kind of
yeah,
going forward. Because, coming out of the bye, you lose, like, I'm wondering, I would be mildly nervous about, like, okay, losing momentum,
yeah,
like hot start, early bye, just might hurt a little bit there. Um,
yeah. We'll kind of see what
yeah, I'm more
transpires here.
I'm not taking too much stock into it just yet because they did play them
Yeah,
tough and it was a close game, everything like that. But I mean, if they lose again tomorrow, and then it
yeah.
starts
If
getting
they
a little
lose tomorrow,
weird,
that's gonna
or
get
and
weird.
then struggle with the Colts, and it's like, okay, maybe the Vikings aren't are back to being who we thought they were, and
Yeah, which is very feasible. I mean, we've seen it with teams in the past, so
mhm. Yeah, I mean the
we'll see. We'll
Saints looked
see
like
how they
world
come
beaters
out.
through 2 weeks, and then are
Yeah, well, that's the
went.
Saints. We all knew it was coming down.
That's true, but you know
Yeah,
had to address it at
we
least for a little bit there.
can't expect Derek Carr to continue to win games. It's not
Mhm.
his mantra.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Sunday night.
Hell yeah,
Let's go to Sunday night.
dude.
I get this was my favorite one of the week, my favorite bet of the week from last week. Not a great week for me, but
I mean,
there's
can
still
we
time.
just
But
talk about?
regardless,
Let's talk about it. Russ cooked, man. He
Russ went
looked
off in
good.
the second half there.
He looked good. So I'll say this: the first quarter and a half, I was nervous. It did not look good. He was throwing a lot of bad passes. There was a stretch he went 1 for 7.
Yeah.
He started the game 2 of 9, and then he settled in that last drive to end the first half, and the
Hmm.
entire second half. It was just balls to the walls. They had 4 plays of 30 plus yards. They hadn't done that since 2016. Just take that in for a minute.
Just a
It's eight
wasteland of
years.
offense.
8 years. In
Yeah.
2016, that was peak Steelers offense.
Yeah.
16 through 18, that was peak offense. That was the last time they did that.
Yeah.
So I'm happy because Rush showed me that he is capable of something that Justin Fields cannot do, unfortunately, which is throw the deep ball and be
Yeah.
confident to throw that deep ball. And Russ just did it, and him and George Pickens had that connection instantly.
Yeah,
Instantly.
that is the one thing with Russ is that like moon ball that he throws.
Yeah.
He hasn't lost that. It's been weird, but like that's the one thing that even in Denver, like he still had a few
Yeah.
of those. Like I remember he threw one to Sutton last year, early in the year. That insane throw.
I mean, yeah, he throws
He's got
beautiful
that
balls.
one locked in there still, and it's gonna work with Pickens. I mean that bobble catch
Yeah.
like was
That
probably
was
the
nuts.
worst throw that Russell Wilson's like of those that he's had in who knows how long.
And Pickett's made it work. It is
Yeah.
what it happened like that, and that's awesome. But I was just shocked, blown away by how well
Mm.
he like settled into that game and just played, especially against not an awful defense. Like I knew it was going to be a little bit more of an uphill battle. They have a
Mm.
decent secondary going, and a lot of people do not throw at Sauce, and he does not care. He was
Mm.
throwing the ball at Sauce, and it worked out. Like it worked out for him.
Yeah.
So all's well that ends well, and I'm interested. I mean, they play the Giants again on Monday night.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean, you got to feel
so
good about that for sure.
there's no secondary you face. I mean, they have a better run defense than the Jets do, so kind of worry about that. But
Mildly.
mildly.
It's
But
just
I'm not
they're, I mean,
super worried.
losing Andrew Thomas, like
Oh,
TJ Watt will be able to eat again. Like,
yeah. I mean, the defense is just unbelievably fast.
yeah.
And I just see it again every week, and
Yeah, I was
just being
like
able to
watching that
hold.
game. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say was just seeing them do it over and over again just makes me more confident in that aspect of our team, of the
Yeah.
Steelers.
To the defense thing, just a quick part on that one. This defense somehow looks better than it did last year. Yeah, somehow looks better than it did last year, and last year was insane. I was mildly concerned through the first quarter and a half of that game, but then, like you said, like at the end of the second, that last drive, they really put something together, and I was just like, oh, yep, we're back. And then not only did they just go off in the second half there, defense pitched a shutout in the second half.
Yeah.
It was 15-10 at half, and then, 37-15. Or 15-13 at half, I'm sorry. And then, just took over that game completely.
Yeah. I mean, the Steelers scored, what was it, 31 unanswered points, and just completely took the
it was
air out of
15-6. Yeah, it was 15-6, and then that was the last time.
After that
they
first
scored,
drive, Devontae, I don't even know if he caught a pass.
Mm-mm.
He saved a touchdown that the Steelers then scored on.
I did see that. Yeah, that was wild. And then, oh hell, I just had. Oh yeah, who did Rodgers blame on this one? Blame this one on? He had another thing.
I missed that.
Hold on. I gotta look at this because this is going into my little mini Jets rant here.
I mean, probably the fact that he can't do everything. He can't play defense. So he probably blamed it on defense.
Yeah. The little interaction between Rodgers and Mike Tomlin. There too, the 12 men on the field where Rodgers was trying to get down to, get a 12 men on the field penalty called, and then Tomlin just calls a timeout and then just smiles at him, and tips his cap.
Yeah.
And Rodgers like nods back to him, but is clearly very pissed off about it.
Yeah, he's like, "You son of a bitch."
Yeah, for real.
I mean, that's just kind of what happens.
I forget what Rodgers said. He had a comment after the game. Forget what it was. I don't know. He's still doing like, I've been here before kind of thing. But also, he got caught eating his boogers on TV. That was fun.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. That was hilarious.
So, regardless.
The team's just a mess. They're a mess.
Yeah, this is where I wanted to go with this, is just, officially say it. And then, honestly, we don't have to even reference the Jets again until they decide to make noise at any point in time. So I just want to put this to bed here real quick, and we don't have to talk about them anymore. They're not good. They weren't good. The roster is not good enough. A 41-year-old quarterback was not going to fix this team. The second you let Bryce Huff walk, you bring Hassan Reddick in, and he's not going to show up without a new contract, even though you knew that, and you still decided to trade for him.
Yeah.
Makes your run defense worse, makes your pass rush worse. Congrats, you have a good secondary. That's not going to help you when you're not getting any pressure on a quarterback and they have to cover for 6.5 seconds all the time. Rodgers can't move. That offensive line, you're taking everybody's leftovers and spare parts to try to rebuild that again. Still can't figure that out.
Yeah.
Robert Saleh was the best coach on your staff, and clearly he was over his skis as a head coach. Just factually, like, he's not a good head coach. He's a good defensive coordinator. Shocker, you fire your head coach and your defense gets worse. Your response to that is, let's bring in Devontae Adams, just Aaron Rodgers' old buddy, and see if, that'll fix it. A 32-year-old receiver is not going to fix the problems that this team has. They're not a good team. They weren't a good team before the year. They weren't a good team at 2-3, and they're not a good team now. I'm over the Jets thing. I'm over all of it. I don't want to have to talk about them. I don't want to have to talk about Aaron Rodgers. I think at this point, they're dead. I'm over it. And they're just not a good team. They're just not good.
You don't have to argue with me.
No, I know. I'm just I'm putting everything to bed. So, if at any point there's what's going on? No, I'm over the Jets. We're done with it.
I was never on the
I'm not
Jets.
saying, I'm never, You and I were both in agreement on that, but they
look good
they're
for 2
irrelevant
weeks.
to me.
Yeah,
Against
look good for 2 weeks.
Not even 2 weeks. They looked good 1 week against the Patriots. Even the Titans game was meh.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, that's my little mini rant on the Jets. They're irrelevant and bad, and they just happen to be in a big market with a loud and annoying who eats his boogers.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, moving on. Monday night.
Let's move on.
Do just want to touch on, before we get into the fun part of this, I feel for Tampa, honestly. Feel for Tampa. I feel for Baker. Feel for all those guys.
Hard.
I mean,
and now they're down their top 2 receivers. It's tough.
That the Evans one did not look good. Just the way he kind of reacted.
Out for a few weeks now.
Yeah, that's they haven't. Was there an official timeline on him yet? Because I heard he was going to get MRIs.
Week 11,
okay.
I think.
I was going to say, he's going to miss extended time. You could tell by the way he started grabbing at that. The Godwin
back
one.
His leg,
that was ugly. He had feet going in different directions.
No, that one. I don't even want to think about that. That's too much.
Yeah, that one was really ugly too. I'm not going to crush, because I heard some people just going after Todd Bowles about that, why do you have these guys in? This is what happens, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, they got that onside kick because it's the fucking Ravens and they let people back in. I mean, that game, it was a 10-point game. They had the ball with a minute left. You go down and you score quick. You already got one onside kick. You can go for another one. And
it gets interesting. Yeah.
And you can make a splash there. It's a 2-score game. If you get the second onside kick, you got to go 15 yards and
kick a field goal, send it to
25 seconds, 20 seconds, and then kick a field goal.
They're playing hard. And of course you're going to play hard. So you play in the NFL. You play to win the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, right, exactly. I just, I just heard several people being like, there's no reason that they should have been out there anyway. You're getting your guys hurt. It's the situation actually was relevant. Yes, the Ravens pulled Lamar and Derrick Henry, but at that point, you're trying to win a football game, and there was a chance for you there.
Yeah, so and
I'm not going to kill
see
on
the
that.
field again. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, it was just that part there, and then I do feel for the Bucs and everything like that. That's it's just unfortunate more than anything. But on a happier note, these Ravens they're roping me back in again.
Dude. that offense is just clicking on every level that needs
Oh,
to be
it's
clicked on.
scary.
It's wild how fast it like turned around and just everything's working. I mean, what
Mm-hmm.
they needed more so was the offensive line to come together. They're together. Derrick Henry's
Yeah.
rushing yards every single week is showing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, you see it in the defense. The defense
Mm-hmm.
is coming together finally. It took a little while, but
Yeah, I
they're
mean, they
making
obviously
plays. I
let him
mean,
back in, but this is the second time they gave up a
yeah,
fluky onside kick. Like I saw that too. That thing took a weird hop on Zay Flowers, just got away from him.
it's just, yeah, it
It's a
is
good
what it
onside
is.
kick, whatever. I mean,
You were
it's
up by
unfortunate
enough.
that there's been two onside kicks that successful onside kicks this year. Both of them happened against the Ravens.
Well, get better. I don't, do you want to borrow Danny Smith to learn how to play special teams?
Dude, I don't know what the fuck is Harbaugh's a special teams guy. I don't understand
It's
why they can't
crazy.
figure out the fucking onside kicks.
I don't know,
That's
man.
annoying, but regardless.
Just talk to Danny Smith. He'll block another extra point next week. It's fine.
For real. But you know that offense is coming. They finally found the
so
grouping on the O line that is shutting people down. Yeah.
Unfortunate that the Steelers don't play you guys until week, I don't know, 11, so 13, whatever it is, where you guys are finally cooking and we couldn't get you like week 2.
I know, right? Yeah.
Unfortunate.
I mean, well, let's be real. We're gonna split those games anyway.
Yeah.
That's just how it happens.
But it'll be we'll beat you in Baltimore, you'll beat us in Pittsburgh. It'll be dumb, and I want to.
One of these teams could be 17-1, and the other one could be 1-17, and those wins are coming against each other.
Yeah, the wins against
they're still split.
It just is what it is.
That's just how it happens.
At least we got the Browns. That's all.
Yeah, and not only Derrick Henry. I mean, Lamar's
playing better this season than he did all last season. Last season, and he won MVP. I mean, I don't know if that's more so a case of like how close everybody was MVP wise last year, or
I
just
think he broke away on Christmas Day
at the end. Yeah,
because it was close for a while there. He just had a few really big games, and then the Christmas Day game really helped him separate.
There wasn't really anybody else that was like proving themselves to be MVP caliber either last year. It was just kind of
Dak was probably the closest one,
which is crazy.
Dak's year last year was
good.
Really
it was good,
freaking good. And Brock Purdy was right there until the Christmas Day game.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of.
I think if it would have won a different way, maybe we have a different MVP, different conversation. But it doesn't really matter.
Possibly.
I just think, I think Lamar has a better path if he keeps playing like this to win back-to-back MVPs.
Because
but none of that.
He's once again gotten better throwing from the pocket.
Yeah,
it is
and he's
unreal. Like
he's doing amazing.
And obviously, he's able to move and the running thing, but the big play to Bateman, the 59-yarder in the second quarter, end of the first, early second, whatever it was there. Cover 0, corner comes off the edge right away, takes 3 steps back, busts to the outside, sees Bateman, they make eye contact, Bateman just kind of cuts across the middle, and he throws on the run, dime, hits him there. The touchdown throw to Bateman was fantastic, got some good protection there, nice little double move by Bateman, hit him in stride, 45 yards downfield.
I mean, just it's good.
And it's the little ones now. This is what, because like I always said too, like the thing that pissed me off about Lamar, frustrated me, is like the layups. He missed too many layups. And last night, the touchdown to Justice Hill, Monday night, the touchdown to Justice Hill, even that screen pass, like he sold it very well. Like he was backtracking, obviously the line shifting out and everything like that. He's looking right the whole time, and at the very last second he comes back, and it's like it's the simple stuff like that he hadn't done enough of in previous years.
Yeah,
that it's starting to come together now, where it's like, okay, the easy stuff he's taking advantage of finally, and
that's
that
good.
makes me more confident in him.
he was always going to need to eventually, if he wanted to have a long NFL career,
Mhm.
transition from the running quarterback to the passing quarterback
Mhm.
eventually. And he's
Yeah,
doing
and
it
he's
sooner than he needs to be, even. So that'll
right.
make his transition when he gets to be in his early 30s, mid 30s, a lot easier. He won't have to rely on his
Right.
legs as
And
much.
he's getting, and you can tell he's a lot more comfortable there too. Like
Yeah.
even years prior, like, especially, I mean, his first MVP year for sure, but like even last year a little bit, like there were times where if he started to sense like any pressure at all, like he was bolting at least to the outside and then like putting himself in a weird spot, even though he was looking
Yeah.
to throw. Like he's a lot more comfortable in the pocket.
I agree.
And then the biggest one, I'm sure you saw it, but this is absolutely insane. So I threw this up. It's the most career games with 5 touchdown passes and no interceptions.
Okay.
Lamar is tied for second on that list with 5. Tom Brady and Drew Brees both have 8.
Wow.
That's who's first. And then Lamar is tied with Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, and Ben Roethlisberger, who all
Yeah, I was going to
before
say
them all have 5.
Big Ben's done it a few times.
Yeah, they both have 5 games like
Wow.
that. This is the insane part in it. Listen to these total starts. So Tom Brady, 333 total starts. Drew Brees, 286. Aaron Rodgers, 231. Peyton Manning, 265. Ben Roethlisberger, 247. Lamar Jackson, 84.
Wow.
That's
I mean,
insane.
that's impressive.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think this is like, there was another one, I didn't hear the exact number on it, but it was like, he's got multiple games now. And it's like several in his last like 6 or 8 games where he's got as many touchdowns as incompletion.
Calm down, Jared Goff.
For real. It's like the efficiency is through the roof.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'm officially roped back in,
Man.
and
Hey man, when the Steelers
I'm ready to be
go up
heartbroken
against
in
in
January
the playoffs
again.
when it matters, when the
You
Steelers
know.
play the Ravens here in a few weeks, that'll truly be the test of 2 moving objects hitting each other as hard as they can. So
Oh yeah, it's gonna be wild.
I'm
It's
gonna
gonna be
love it.
wild.
You're going up. We have the best rush defense. You have the best rushing attack, so that'll be fun.
I just want to see T.J. Watt and Derrick Henry meet at the line of scrimmage, both coming
Now,
downhill.
that's what you want it to be. What it's actually going to be is Deshaun Elliott flying over the offensive line to make that tackle.
True.
Because that man is
It's also probably safer if T.J. Watt and Derrick Henry. That would open the gates to hell.
It could be Cam Hayward. That would be nuts.
That'd be wild too. I don't know. This game's going to be fun. It's just going to be
2 men playing very well at an old age that typically don't last that long at that position. Like Cam Hayward's playing the best football he's ever played in his career, and Derrick Henry's playing the best football he's ever played in his career. And it's just, you guys, what deals did you make with the devil to get here?
Yeah, I don't understand it. Like, and then on top of that, like Keaton Mitchell is starting his 3-week practice period. He could be back in a couple of weeks.
Nobody cares about Keaton Mitchell anymore.
Hey, old buddy was good last year.
Old buddy wasn't Derrick Henry.
That's not what I'm saying, but
that's
your second punch. That's your second punch. Like I'm very happy with
hitter,
that.
So yeah.
I mean, I'm here for it.
Yeah, very fair.
And Pat Ricard is still existing in this world.
Pat Ricard, yeah, he plays
fucking
good.
Love me
good
some Pat Ricard. All right, let's get into our top 10 here.
All right, who do you got at 10?
All right, I'm
back curious about your bottom.
The bottom is a little bit different here. I got the Seahawks at 10. They're back in. I'm back on them. The defense finally getting healthy here, and kind of stuffed the humming Falcons offense. Geno, I think, had his little 3-week stretch of not winning games that he should have, in terms of you lose to the Giants. He did play well against the Niners. Some of that might have been a little fluky, but I'm back in on them. As a functional team.
Yeah, that was one team that was close, and I left them off. It was like them, the Falcons, and the Bucks that I left off. The Bucks actually had it 10 up until today, and then
even with the
realized that realized the injuries, and that's why I took them out
Yeah,
because of
like
that.
the
If
10 to
they
like
didn't
13
have
range
those,
is it's very tight regardless,
yeah.
but I gave the nod
But
to the Seahawks there.
the NFC team that I did give to spot number 10 was Philly.
Hmm.
I think Philly came to play. They looked good. Granted, they blew them out of the water.
Yeah, it's the Giants, an injured
Yeah, they
Giants
play the
team.
Giants. It's not a big deal, but
Hmm.
you're beating up on the teams you need to be beating up on, and that's what I needed to see this week from them, and have hope that they're going to keep doing that. Again, we're going to really see them get tested this weekend, especially their defense against Cincy. These are two pretty much must-win games for both of these teams.
Yeah,
Philly, if they want to stay alive to even
for
have a
the
chance
division.
to win that division,
Yeah,
and Cincy to stay alive to even have a chance to sniff the playoffs.
yeah.
So
I mean, you and
that's
I
going
are
to be a
both going to
fun
be
game on
big
Sunday.
Philly fans this week because, like, I just need somebody to officially bury the Bengals.
You and me both, man.
Yeah.
So so it'll be fun. And that's kind of why I have them in my top 10. Is I think the offense now fully healthy, it's going to start humming again and really just get going. So
Yeah, I need to see a
plus
couple more weeks of it
Saquon
before
is
I
just
buy back into the Eagles
yeah
here as a top 10
yeah
team.
that's fair.
Just because
I
there's
think
just so much.
I like them slightly more than the Seahawks this week, but
That's fair.
especially because DK's now hurt and his timetable's unknown. So your offense kind of was running through him, and now it's not. So you
Yeah,
got to kind of change some stuff up. But yeah,
that's fair.
I think that was kind of like the straw. But I see a lot of these teams like from 10 to 13 between the Eagles, the Falcons,
You can
the
argue for any one of them, and you can argue against all of them.
exactly.
Yeah.
They're all like the same. If you really want to say that, 10's just a conglomerate of four teams for me. So
Yeah. All right, who you got at 9?
I have the Steelers at 9.
So do I, actually.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you're going to put them in the top 10. I just think the defense is way too good to not be in the top 10 at this point. It's the best defense in football, and it's kind of not close at this point, 7 weeks into the season. Just what they're able to do week over week is kind of impressive. This is their second or third shutout in the second half that they've had, which
That's
is
insane.
mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Because
Yeah.
teams typically adjust to your defense in the second half so that they get better. But somehow the Steelers adjust their defense to stop your adjustment in the second half, and you can't fix that now. You're too far gone, and now you're tripping over yourself trying to figure it out. And it's just mind blowing how they do it. And the fact that they put up 37 points this game was
I didn't think
fascinating.
I don't think there was going to be
I
a
didn't know
2-week
that was
stretch where
possible.
they were going to have 37 points at all this year.
Yeah, so so the fact that they did that this week after building on another 30-point week the week prior, give me that all day, every day. You're telling me we're scored twice now, 30 plus points.
Yeah, that's like a 6-week output for them.
Yeah,
in 2
I haven't
weeks.
seen this since 2018. So the fact that we're seeing Arthur Smith's offense kind of coming into its own and really growing to be what he wants. And now the Steelers' offense is getting healthy after the bye. You're projected to have like 2 major offensive linemen back after the bye, with James Daniel and Zach Frazier coming back. Not that it really matters because Mason McCormick's playing unbelievable right now, the left guard position. So you're really just kind of sitting pretty. Obviously, Broderick Jones is a liability at best. Same with Dan Moore. So you're just kind of throwing them to the wind and hoping for the best. But regardless, they just look good, and I can't deny that anymore.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. The only I did want to put them higher. I'm not going to lie. I
would have loved to put them higher.
just-
I just can't put them over those teams. I can't.
I mean, I could have made an argument for it, but I want to see a couple more weeks of it. I want to know
100%.
if this was a fluky Russell Wilson game or if this is going to be kind of the version that you're going to get from him this year. Because if that is the version, this is a really fucking scary team.
Terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. Nobody's going to want to see them, especially
especially
when it gets cold. As hard as they hit,
they,
as fast as they fly on defense, like you do not want to see them when the weather gets cold.
Yeah. And then if they add another weapon to that offense, like they're projecting to, it just gets a little bit more scary.
I will believe that when I see it.
No, yeah, so will
there's
I.
nothing, yeah, exactly. Like,
I think the most likely option to even bring in is going to be like Mike Williams,
yeah,
just because that just
which,
makes
like,
sense for the Steelers. You're
does
probably
it
going to get up
really
like
move the needle? I mean, like, it helps red
yeah,
zone wise, but like like outside of
yeah.
that, like, I mean,
It's like it's the same way I feel about D Hop to the Chiefs.
yeah.
Doesn't do a whole lot. He's an older
Well, that
receiver,
one's a
can help
little
you in
bit
the red
different
zone.
because, like I told you earlier, they're gonna like have a holy communion with him where they're gonna give him the blood of Len Dawson
Yeah,
and the body of Jamal Charles, and he's gonna
that's not the
be
body. You don't want that body.
2017 fucking D Hop again and making insane plays
Yeah,
because that's just what
yeah.
happens, I guess. Insane. But
But
yeah, no, I'm with you on the Steelers there. Um,
all right, who do you got at 8 then?
oh yeah, I got the Texans at 8.
Ooh,
Um,
I had a tough time with the Texans this week, and
I kind of had a tough time too, but
I put them all over the place. I settled on them at 6.
I
And I
I
have
felt
my
like I had to
reasonings,
drop
but
them a little bit. Um,
it was a close game. I mean, I
yeah,
guess kind of
it's.
looking at the logistics, I want to see if
I
that
think
was
the
just
biggest
like a
thing
bad
was
matchup, or if it was more so the offense really doesn't look as good without Nico. I need to see one
that's
more
what I was
week
concerned about. It wasn't necessarily
before I
the
drop them.
it wasn't necessarily the offense didn't look good. It was just like CJ Stroud didn't,
Yeah.
and that's
So
what concerned me there.
yeah, I'd like to
And it,
see what it looks like next week, this upcoming week, see how that team does, and then kind of be able to move them around. Just because I don't, they played a good team overall.
they did,
I,
but that's also mildly my concern here. Is like, so they've played.
that's fair.
They're 5-2 right now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, 5-2.
yeah.
They
If the Bills knew how to actually coach, they'd be probably
exactly
4
probably
and
should
2.
have lost that game. Didn't look great.
Yeah,
They didn't weren't bad, but didn't look great against the Packers. They struggled with the Jaguars, but like, just because that one popped out. But like in terms of the good teams and now good teams, they got boat raced by the Vikings, and
yeah.
they beat the Bears 19-13. So like that's another good defense.
That's fair.
Those are my only like concerns about the Texans here. It's like they're winning games,
Yeah,
but they don't have the pedigree that like the Chiefs do right now,
yeah.
where you can look bad and
Okay.
win games and it doesn't change my
So
opinion about you. You
yeah,
know what I mean? So
so
like,
yeah, they do
those are
get the
just like mild concern. I'm not actually concerned
yeah,
about them. Like, I think they're going to
no,
be fine between the division and just like
yeah.
who they are. They're going to be fine. I'm just not really like in a. I think there's better teams than.
That's fair. They get the Colts this week. I think that's going to be an interesting matchup for them.
Mhm.
I think Buckner might be back this week. We'll see. I'm not for sure if he'll be able to get ramped up by Sunday.
I mean, that was a close game
If
week 1.
yeah, so I'm curious to see how it kind of plays out now.
Yeah.
And if it's tight, I'm definitely gonna kind of slide him down a bit here. But yeah, I have him at 6. I didn't want to knock him too bad for a team that I thought was very good going into the season
Mhm.
and losing a close game to them. Because I mean, they beat the Packers. Well, I'm probably not moving them really at all. I'm not moving them up, but I'm not moving them down. They'd stay
Yeah.
at 5.
That's the thing. Is
So
like
I
if they
just
win that game. I'm not putting them any higher than what I had. I'm not putting them in
no,
the top
no,
4,
God. I'm
basically.
not putting them above those 4 teams that I have in
Exactly.
my
Yeah,
top
I
4.
think that's a very
The
clear cut
exact
thing.
the exact 4 teams that you have in your top 4. I'm
Right.
just not doing that. So they
Right.
just wouldn't move. They'd stay still.
That's
Losing
fair.
against the Packers, I just want to drop them a little bit. I couldn't feasibly drop them below the Bills because they still beat the Bills head to head. And the Bills, I still want to see. The
That's
Bills
fair.
destroyed the Titans. Okay, me too.
True. Yeah. Again, in terms of like, Texans lost, Bills won big. I don't feel like by themselves, and just like in terms of looking at the scores, that doesn't really change. Like, it doesn't really like affect how I feel. It's like how I feel about the Texans and like just the concerns that I have. I have more concerns about the Texans right now than just because you said it, the Bills.
Yeah,
I think the Bills are kind of ascending, especially with the Amari Cooper addition.
Amari Cooper. Yeah, he looked good. He looked good there.
The Texans need. There's something there that like makes me kind of uneasy about them.
Yeah, that's fair. I
still think they're a very good team. I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
I just,
yeah,
we're split
this upcoming week. I think we kind of have to though.
Yeah,
we're gonna get some answers this week, especially since the Bills play the Seahawks, Texans play the Colts. Some things are going to be justified.
Who you got at 7? Oh, you at 8. Sorry, we didn't do your 8.
I have the Commanders at 8, which I assume you have them at 7. No, are they not in your top 10 at all?
I told you I did some weird shit this week.
I see that. Okay, so I have the Commanders at 8. Even without Jaden Daniels in the lineup, they still look like a great team. I think that's just kind of more so showing that it's a byproduct of the offense and how they play, and how Dan Quinn's kind of running that defense. So I'll just kind of say quick, it does worry me that Jaden Daniels might not play this weekend. So one, we might not get that Jaden Caleb head-to-head game. That
I was kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah. So if that doesn't happen, I'll be a little sad, but it is what it is. But if they look bad against the Bears, obviously I'm going to draw them out.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I think the between the Jaden injury and depending on, I mean, they're calling him week to week right now. Don't love that.
No,
I know Mariota came in and played great. I mean, part of that is, you're playing the Panthers. The other part of that is I get mildly concerned that you basically just gave a lot of tape to that offense again because you simplified it even more. And it, and that's, because I had mentioned that before too, like Cliff Kingsbury offenses do that where they come out of the gates hot, or through 8-10 weeks, they look insane and then they just hit a wall.
Yeah. Which is fair. I mean, we're going to see that. This is kind of like that point. You're going up against good defense this week. We'll figure it out. So I actually forgot what team you love very much. So I assume you have them at 7, and you can go ahead and say them right now.
That I love very much. I think it's very clear what they are, and it's the Falcons.
Yeah.
Even with that loss, I think
But they got. I think
there's two parts.
Dominated.
They did get dominated again.
It wasn't. They couldn't get anything going.
No, they couldn't. I'm agreeing with that. The only reason that I don't take as much stock into that with them is Seahawks were kind of desperate. They just lost. Fucking thumbs up thing again. Seahawks had just lost 3 straight. Desperate, healthy again.
Yeah.
Also, Falcons kind of coming. I mean, they peaked a couple of weeks. I don't want to say peaked, but they had that massive output. Kirk Cousins had that massive output on the Thursday night game.
Yeah.
Was it a week ago? 2 weeks ago? 1 week?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Yeah, against the Bucs. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a very
3 weeks ago.
Predictable outcome to that game. The only reason I didn't put that in my picks last week, even though I really should have done that, I was just mildly nervous about what version of Geno Smith was going to show up. And he was fine, but I'm not taking as much in there. I also just, their situation now, especially with the Bucs situation, like we talked about a little bit ago, like Falcons could just accidentally fall into the number 1 seed just because of playing in division and everything like that. That's the only reason I'm saying that is like they could get, at this point now, go 6-0 in division.
Game.
Yeah,
they could.
Like that's on the board.
I mean, I'm looking ahead here for them and just kind of looking at what they got. And next week worries me a little bit. They do play the Bucs. They're in Tampa. Obviously, concerned for the Bucs offense, but
it's even you're just going to let Bucky Irving beat you. Like that's the only way that they're going to win that game. Is Bucky Irving's going to have to run for $160.
Maybe, but I mean, they got Rachaad White really involved in that game late when Mike Evans went down. It's just, I guess it depends on how they scheme. If they can scheme that offense right, like they had in that second half, because Chris Godwin might have got hurt, but he wasn't really a big receiving factor in that game down the stretch there.
No, not in that game.
So
specifically,
but he has been all season. But
yes, And
I
he's been
mean,
the touchdown guy, red zone guy,
the
and everything
Falcons
like
do
that.
have a good next 4 weeks with the Bucks,
I was just gonna
Cowboys,
say,
Saints,
like,
Broncos. After they don't go up against a good defense. Period. They're just not.
the next 3 weeks.
So
That's what I'm saying. So, like, let's just look at this because, like, okay, you can kind of go the next 3 weeks. 3-0 is entirely possible. They're sitting at 7-3.
I okay. I'll
Seven and
agree with you.
three.
I'm looking at their schedule and it is very favorable.
Yes.
They played the hardest part of their schedule already. It was their first 3 weeks. It was Steelers, Eagles, Chiefs, and they took one of those games
Right.
because after these four, I mean, the back half of their schedule is Raiders, Giants, Commanders, Panthers. Hardest game in there's the Commanders.
Right.
Outside
Like the
of
next.
their bye, they
Yeah, the
go
rest of the way.
Chargers. Yeah, Chargers, Vikings are their Chargers, Vikings, and Commanders are their three hardest games for the rest of the year.
And Broncos are just going to be tough because you go to Denver and that defense is real.
Yeah. So I got you. I think they probably lose realistically 3 to 4 more games. They could, I mean, finish 11-6, maybe get the 2 seed, or they could go 12-5 and get the 1 seed.
Yeah, because they're 4-3 right now. Well, you got what?
I
10
think
games left. Like 8-2 is on the board with this schedule.
Yeah, it's possible. I think it'll be tough, but it's possible.
Because you get the Chargers out of the bye and you get them at home. That helps. Vikings, again, like we just talked about too, like that who knows where that's like.
I do think though, overall, the winner of the NFC North is the 1 seed. I'll say that right now.
The only reason I push back on that is just because of them having to play each other.
There's going to be too many. You think
they might just cannibalize on themselves
But I do think the best team in that, which is the Lions, is going to dominate. Maybe go 5-1 in division. I think that's gonna. I think they lose one game.
I think it's on the board.
The Packers. I think they'll lose one to the Packers, and that's it. I think they win 5.
The only reason
I think they are the better team.
Or they could go and lose to Chicago just because they played Chicago late and cold weather. Jared Goff.
Is it the last game of the season they do that?
Let me pull up their schedule here real quick.
Hold on, I got it.
No, they get Vikings at home last game of the year, but they get.
Oh, that's right. We just talked about that.
They get the Bears December 22nd.
Okay, so week 16. Maybe.
Because as much as you and I both love Jared Goff, and as much as I'm on the Jared Goff hype train right now, I also am very well aware of what Jared Goff looks like in bad weather.
Yeah,
like fair. It's not the same guy.
Yeah,
he goes back to Jeff Fisher, Jared Goff pretty quickly. If you bring,
we'll see.
If you're able to get pressure on him, and it's bad weather.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting, I guess, overall to see where they're at that point, how many losses they have, what they look like as a team. I mean, because right now they look very much like the best team in the NFL. And
I'm not saying that the Falcons are the best team in the NFC. I'm just saying
but you're
that
saying,
like the way the schedule works and everything like that. Now with the Bucks kind of with their season going sideways, there it's like I think that's just on the board, and that's kind of where I'm at with the Falcons. Is like I feel like I know what they are, and I think
unfortunately though,
in that realm is about
They have been a little bit inconsistent with their offense. I've seen. So, like, if they can figure that out, make it a little bit more consistent.
I mean, part of that is just
more
Kirk Cousins. Is like
which isn't good.
There's much like Jared Goff. There's a formula for Kirk Cousins to win, and when you're able to do that, Kirk Cousins looks really fucking good.
I guess For me, I just want to see that offense be more consistent for me to have them back up there. I mean, they were barely in it for me last week.
That's fine.
So, for me, it was easier for me to drop them out. So,
fair enough.
Yeah. All right. I had the Bills at 7.
All right.
I already touched on them, but they're the Bills. Josh Allen is doing what he does best, winning football games, looking good, and
got Amari Cooper involved, and that was what I wanted to see.
They already look like they're clicking and running together, and James Cook should be back in the fold and just looking good fully next week. So I'm not really that worried about the Bills. They do have a pretty good matchup here. Who do they got?
They're gonna
I
buy
just
this
saw
week.
it. They play the
Or no, wait.
Seahawks.
No, just kidding. I forgot what the date was. Yeah, they go
Bills
to
play,
Seattle.
yeah. They
It's
go
not an
to
easy place
Seattle.
to
So
play. It's same kind of thing. It's like I don't know how much that's gonna affect how I feel about them, win or
yeah,
lose.
I
Um,
I don't think they lose the game, but I think it'll be close. I
yeah,
think it'll be slight challenging for him at first, and once he kind of settles. Mason Rudolph won in Seattle last year. I'm just gonna say that. So you know what? That's all I'll say.
yeah,
So I think Josh Allen will get it done, and I just like he's been doing. I think
yeah,
if the coaching, if Sean McDermott pulls his head out of his ass and makes better
yeah.
calls,
He
I'm
just needs to not
too worried
do
about it.
clock management.
No, he's terrible. Terrible.
He needs to get somebody with that for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It just
Um,
like Tomlin had to do it a couple years ago. It helped him.
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it does. It makes a big difference if you're not going to be, savvy about it. You gotta find somebody that just
Yeah,
knows how to manipulate time.
game clock. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
Um,
simple. Yeah,
you had the Texans at 6, right?
correct. Yeah, so I
All
assume
right.
we both have the Packers at 5.
We do. Yeah, same kind of thing.
I
So it's
mean,
like I think this is a masterclass again this year by Matt LaFleur.
LaFleur.
I
Yeah,
think that's the
I mean,
biggest thing with
team looks
them.
great.
Yeah, I mean they look really good. I do think this is more of a Matt LaFleur story than anything else. This has really been like
Yeah,
his coming out party because like he took
especially
a lot of
without.
heat. Like he revived Aaron Rodgers' career, and he didn't really get the credit at that point. And then Rodgers leaves, and it's like a whole like, oh yeah, he didn't want to, like maybe LaFleur isn't that guy. Like it was Nat Hackett because like that was his buddy and blah blah blah. So like I don't think Matt LaFleur ever really got his flowers. He's doing a hell of a job. And, like, being able to steal those 2 wins with Malik Willis and keep this team
Yeah, that's
alive
what I was
right
gonna
now,
say.
like,
Just
it's
insane.
unreal.
Yeah, I mean, luckily it wasn't against like these high top tier opponents, but it
I
was
mean, wins
still
are still wins. You
better
still
than
take them. And, like, yeah.
yeah, because those are 2 games that without Love I didn't think you had in the bag. So
No, and the way that
good on
this
them.
division
I
is
mean,
playing out, like, you needed those 2.
yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be tough. I mean, the fact that we both have 3 NFC North teams in our top 5 speaks volume.
I almost had all 4. I really thought about putting all 4 in there.
In the top 10, I did 2 weeks ago. Bears went on a bye, and
I mean, that
yeah,
defense is
that was
getting
really
better and better. Caleb is
Yeah,
like
I
getting
mean,
better and better every week.
if
Like you're seeing the
if they beat
growth
the
with him.
Commanders this week, they have a big argument to get back in that top 10.
Yeah, I think
Because
they're one of those.
that
We were
10
talking about
spot,
that 10 to 13 range. They're in that range, and like you can make
yeah.
a really strong case for them.
I mean, that 10 spot just rotates for me every week, so
Yeah, for real.
whatever. Yeah,
Um,
so we kind of already talked about the Packers. I mean, we talked about all these teams in the top 4.
yeah,
So you have the Vikings at 4.
I do.
I
Who
did
do you have
do
at
as
3?
well.
Hold on, I just want to see. Let's rattle them off here real quick. Who do you have at 3?
Who do you have at 3?
No, I asked you first.
I have Baltimore.
I was like, do we
You
have
have
the same top
Detroit?
5? I have Detroit. I haven't flip flopped.
I have Detroit at 2. I like Detroit's team as a whole slightly better than I like Baltimore's team as a whole. That's what it kind of came down to.
That's fair. I went to if these 2 teams played this weekend, who do I think wins this game? Whether it's in Detroit and Baltimore, I think
Okay.
Baltimore wins that game.
I think Baltimore.
That's not from a
It'll
homing
be
because not only just because of how they just dismantled them last year.
it would be such a dogfight. It would be like
Oh,
that
yeah.
42 to like 40 point game.
Because the
It would
identity
be
of
close.
these teams
and,
are so similar. I think
it'll be
I
close.
trust Lamar to make a play
It would
more
come
than
down
I
to
trust
coaching and
Goff.
play. It would come down to play calling, I think, at the end of the day, and not necessarily quarterbacks
Or a
making
fourth quarter
plays.
thing, and then that's kind of where you go.
Yeah.
Who do I trust with managing the clock more
Yeah,
or making
so
a
if you're gonna
boneheaded
tell me
move?
that,
Like,
then yeah,
that goes to Harbaugh too there because of
I'd
Dan
go
Campbell.
Harbaugh. Yeah,
Yeah,
it would be
It's
tight.
wildly close.
But I mean, also though, Dan Campbell's coached massive, like amazingly these last 3 weeks. It's been perfection. So
he again, like I love Dan Campbell. Like again, the stuff, the clock stuff, the fourth down stuff sometimes makes me go gray. But in
yeah,
terms of like setting a culture and you know just making those guys fight every week, I
yeah.
don't know if there's anybody better at that. Like
No,
it's him and
he's a
Tomlin are on a different
they are
level with
the
that.
coach's coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like your players want to be out there playing for you every week, and
100%.
that's who I want as my coach in
Yes.
the NFL. Yeah, like Andy Reid, he's a smart guy. People love him, but
I
like
mean,
I
Andy
don't
Reid
think.
is the best coach in football right now.
Yeah, no
Separate
doubt about
him.
that.
It's that next tier that we're kind of talking about.
Yeah, and well, yeah, no, I meant like
It's the
more so
next
like
group.
guys that like speak things into their players, make them
Mm-hmm.
want to be on that team. You want to play for Andy Reid. That's different. Like
Yeah.
so you just
You
want to
want to
play
play
for
for
Andy
Andy
Reid
Reid, and
because
Andy
he's
Reid is also just the greatest offensive mind
yeah
possibly ever.
in football. Yeah.
Yeah. Or greatest
Whereas
play
like
designer. We'll do it that way. I don't
yeah,
want to
whereas for
make
like
anybody angry.
Tomlin and Dan Campbell, they make you want to play football. They make you
Yes.
want to run out there,
Yeah.
run through somebody.
And
There's a
make you
slight
believe
difference
you have
between
a
those two.
shot every week.
Yeah,
Every single week.
yeah. There's a slight difference between their style and Andy Reid. Obviously, all players want to play for these three coaches, but like, man, the way Tomlin talks and the way Dan Campbell talks, those guys just want to be there
Oh yeah.
in the atmosphere, and it's just fun. It's inviting,
Yeah, they're
and
the pinnacle of like the rah coach.
yeah,
But again, like I wish they'd get out of their own heads a little bit from time to time.
yeah.
That's the knock on them.
Tomlin's gone a lot better.
Hmm.
And then Dan Campbell will get there someday.
Yeah, for sure. But it'll come. It's just like you just kind of deal
it'll
with
take
it
a
for
lot
now.
Yeah, you get through the bad moments. You definitely will. But
yeah.
I mean, and the Lions fans have already lived through a few of them. But
right,
hopefully you'll be there. But yeah, 2 and 3. I mean, Ravens are great. Lions are great. I just like the team.
I think these three are the top three. Obviously, we both have the Chiefs at 1. I think those three. We've already done that, but I think those three have just like actually separated now.
Yeah,
especially with that Lions win over the Vikings when like they probably shouldn't have won that game. Like they have now separated. Like the Chiefs are on their own thing right now. They're on their own level. Fine. Like I'm okay with it. It doesn't look good, but like there's part of me that goes, all right, well 6-0 has to mean something. And they're back-to-back defending champs. Like it's just I don't until I see it. Like they're in their own class right now, but I think the gap between the Ravens and Lions and the Chiefs is smaller than like the Ravens and Lions and then the Vikings and the Packers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 1,000,000%.
And that next grouping of teams.
The Chiefs do get the Raiders this week, so that's great. And then they get the Bucs next week. Oh, okay.
Sure.
Who do they get week 10?
I think they get their schedule somehow falling into. I mean, they're going to lose at some point. They'll probably lose to the Broncos just because.
All right. They get the Chiefs. The Chiefs get the Bills week 11.
Yeah, they got the next 3 weeks are a bunch of meh. Like honestly,
yeah. So
just because it's the Chiefs and they do it like they'll probably lose to the Broncos and then go boat race the Bills for no reason whatsoever.
And if that happens, catch me on the news that night. Body found in the river. I won't say
you're going to be hanging from the Clemente Bridge.
No, I'll do the Birmingham just for fun.
No, fair enough.
But yeah, I mean that's it really. That's all I have. My depression always ends with the Chiefs.
Yeah, but, again,
a lot of fun football.
I want the Ravens to be the ones to do it, but like I'll take anybody. I'll take anybody taking them out.
The Ravens can't take him out. The Ravens aren't going to take him out unless they play him in the playoffs, and we always see
That's
how
what
that
I
goes.
mean. So. That's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. I don't care about the regular season right now. I just need them to not win something so that I can just like feel something again.
Yeah,
I just want to have hope because if they win this year,
2 new Super Bowl teams.
I need it so bad. I need them to not win because it's turning into the NBA at this point where it's just like, all right, well, just pencil it in and like we'll just go from there. Like at least the Patriots had a decade where they just didn't do anything.
Yeah, they did. They kind of settled from like 2006 to 2015. They went once and they lost.
Yeah,
and then they went 3 out of 4 years and they won 2 of those.
Yeah,
and I just wanted to die a happy, painful death.
Yeah,
but we're fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. We'll see. We still got a lot of football left to play. Anything can happen, as we saw this past weekend. I mean, the amount of injuries that are happening this season to star players is actually insane. Actually insane. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then
it's not as bad as a couple years ago. I remember there was like a lot of quarterbacks went down.
Yeah,
in 2017 or 2018, it was just like a litter of quarterbacks, like elite level guys were out. Right?
Yeah,
that is what.
At least, that's not the case so far this year. It's just a lot of top tier wide receivers and then one scumbag.
True, I forgot about that. I'm actually kind of pissed that it happened this week and not this coming week.
Nah, I'm just happy it happened.
I'm happy that it happened, but I don't want to see Jameis Winston.
No, he's just gonna throw deep balls. You're gonna pick him 3 times, and
hopefully
he might get one or 2 touchdowns.
That's the only thing that scares me about this fucking Ravens team is the secondary right now gets a little funky from time to time, but it is what it is.
It'll be fine. It'll be good.
All right.
I got nothing else. We've been doing this a lot longer than we anticipated. Just a lot of rambling.
We got a little tangent-y on number 1 seeds there for a little bit, but hey, it is what it is.
It's okay. It happens. But a lot of fun stuff happening this week. Hopefully, we get some answers as to what's gonna progress here. But exciting.
Yeah, we'll be back with we'll be back with predictions, gambling, everything like that going into this week here. Let's look ahead. Maybe do a little NBA stuff since we kind of missed the beginning of that. Just because, I like the NBA.
We'll see.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. That'll mostly just be me talking.
Yeah,
but, I like to hear myself talk sometimes.
I know you do. It's okay.
All right. Let's get out of here.